The W14 appeared to be a major letdown after the first race weekend in Bahrain, and despite the fact that the outcome improved during the second race weekend in Jeddah, the team isn't satisfied. Mercedes are in a crisis. Mercedes keeps saying they are working on a new idea or a fresh concept every week. But what precisely is that idea? What information about their plans have they made public? We are learning everything there is to know about Mercedes' new ambitions in today's video. Recently, Wolff has emphasized that the defining of Mercedes' car idea goes beyond the team's recognizable size zero side pods, which it carried over from last year's W13 to its current chassis. Any alterations will obviously have an impact on other components of the automobile because the concept goes beyond only the side pod and outside look. In a Mercedes video, Mike Elliott made the observation that the concept of an F1 car is nebulous. The simple answer is it means different things to different people, he said. I think after Bahrain we had to accept we weren't where we wanted to be. That we had to look at all the things that make up our car and work out what could we be doing differently, how could we get more performance. Because there is a significant gap for us to catch up. So the engineers are busy looking at aerodynamics, they are looking at the shape of the car. Things like the side pod geometry, the floor geometry, have we missed a trick? But we are also looking in the simulation world of are we targeting the right things? Are we pushing the aerodynamics in the right direction? We're looking at the mechanical setup of the car. Are there things there that we are missing? What else can we bring to the car that is going to add performance? And we're trying to do that as fast as we possibly can because we want to get back to the front. We want to be competing at the front, and the only way we are going to do that is by accepting we are not in the position we want to be and fighting and working really hard to get back there. Elliott highlighted that the Brackley-based team's poor showing in Bahrain was a reality check, but he also added that it has motivated the team to look for solutions. Obviously, Bahrain was a real reality check, and to find ourselves in the position we find ourselves in, not being competitive, was a real disappointment, he said. A disappointment for the whole team. But you have to get yourself through that, and you have to turn that into what we are going to do about it. How are we going to bring the sort of the energy and what we are capable of doing? How are we going to move ourselves forward? How are we going to get ourselves back in the fight? And actually, walking around the factory there is huge amount of energy, there is a huge amount of work going on. We are starting to see some of the development come through already that is going to get us back into this championship fight. All we can do is just keep pushing. I've been really pleased to see the attitude in the team. Asked about potential form in the Australian GP, he said, "Firstly, our main aim at the moment is to continue learning. We've only had 2 races so far. It's really difficult to build trends from that. In terms of the actual characteristics of the circuit, Australia is probably front limited and probably more like Jeddah than like Bahrain. So, let's hope that we can find another small step forward, get a bit more competitive, find the learning that is going to help us move forward in the long term." However, even if they did better in Jeddah, things initially appeared to be disastrous. Mercedes struggled in Friday practice, continuing its poor start to the season, but after overnight work, the team unearthed more performance for qualifying. Before they reach Australia, they will be hoping for more solutions to challenges they are currently experiencing. But teammate Russell qualified 4th, which moved up to 3rd due to Charles Leclerc's grid penalty, while Lewis Hamilton failed to comprehend several W14 specifics during practice. It led to Russell saying after qualifying that Mercedes gained more performance in a week than we found in almost a month. Both Mercedes race vehicles outperformed the Ferraris as their performance also increased. Due to a miscommunication regarding Fernando Alonso's final results, Russell was briefly given 3rd place. However, he was eventually confirmed to be 4th, ahead of Hamilton. Russell is optimistic that the Brackley team will have more to give in the near future, even though the squad is not getting carried away by its rapid development from Bahrain to Jeddah. A more radical idea shift is still in the works, particularly now that they are learning more and more about the car's aerodynamics. "We definitely made a step in the right direction," Russell said. "I think, above all, we just truly maximized the potential of the car. We had a really strong qualifying, which was really enjoyable. I was really pleased to come home in P4 on the road because I felt like that was the maximum that was possible. And I was having fun up there. The car was feeling good. And we know we've got some more performance in the locker in some races to come." The Emilia-Romagna Grand Prix in May is the most likely target for Mercedes' next significant advancements, according to Russell, who stated it earlier this weekend. "Maybe Imola time," he said. "Perhaps you can bring it a bit earlier, but I guess you're always a bit wary to bring things to a street track. We just need to weigh up the options. With the mistakes we've made, we're not going to rush to bring things forward, unless we're absolutely 120% sure it's the right one. And clearly, the longer you wait, the higher influence you might have because of the development slope, so we need to balance up the advantages and negatives. This year, we want to win races, that's where we want to be. Of course, we'd love to be fighting for the championship, but Red Bull is just doing an excellent job. The gap they've got to the rest of the field is bigger than we've seen in F1 for 6, 7 or 8 years, so it's pretty impressive." At Imola, Mercedes' new, ambitious plan will likely be realized, but will it be sufficient to compete with Red Bulls or even Aston Martins? And how much time will there be left to change the championship? What about Hamilton, then? Every weekend, Russell seems to appreciate the car more, but as was already mentioned, Hamilton occasionally appears lost in the W14's present configuration. The 7-time world champion has had a difficult start to the year since Mercedes hasn't been able to make the anticipated advancement to challenge Red Bull this time around. But the fact that he doesn't appear to be as comfortable in the W14 as his teammate George Russell has made his situation more difficult. Hamilton thinks the team should increase the downforce on its car, especially to increase the stability in the rear, but he also thinks there is another flaw in the design that he does not like. Hamilton stated that his situation was unlike anything he had ever experienced after finishing 5th in the Saudi Arabian Grand Prix, 1 position behind Russell. "We're a long way down on downforce," explained Hamilton, "so we've got to pick up the rear-end downforce particularly. The more rear we gain, the more stable the rear becomes, and the more confident I'll be able to attack. But I think in general, just this car, even if we do change that, there's a specific thing with something on the car that I have never had before. It's a position I've not had in previous years' cars. For me, it's the thing that is making me uncomfortable. I've just got to work hard to make sure it is changed." Hamilton will be hoping that the new Plan B car will be drastically different and that the existing problems with hating it will go away with the idea modification. This time, it appears that the team has paid attention to Hamilton, and a remedy is being developed. Toto Wolff, the head of Mercedes, acknowledged that the team was aware of Hamilton's issue but insisted there was no quick fix. "We have a fundamental issue he's not happy with, and that is linked to the way he feels the rear end of the car," explained Wolff when asked about the situation. "That's not something that can be remedied immediately. The drivers are the most important sensors in the car, and if they tell us that's what they feel, we need to consider that." Hamilton has not specifically addressed the problem, but it appears to manifest itself in the way the car feels for him when he is pushed to the limit, especially in qualifying. Hamilton dropping farther down the grid. "It's on a massive knife edge when you're above about 95%, he said. "But when you're in a race stint, it's much more controllable and predictable. I still don't have the confidence in the race, but I'm doing the best I can with it." Although Hamilton's season has not gotten off to the best of starts, the team found solace in last weekend's victory over Ferrari in Saudi Arabia. Hamilton acknowledged that the unexpected turn of events surprised him, but he thinks the Jeddah track's flat surface was a contributing factor. "It is definitely strange to see the Ferrari behind us, and it's positive for us," he said. "It's a different surface here, and we don't really understand why on this surface our car works one way and it's different in another. But there's lots of positive to take from this weekend. It will be up and down throughout the first 3 races." Will this apply to the forthcoming competitions? Will Hamilton and Russell compete with Alonso and Stroll for the final podium spot? Another option would be to attempt and attack the Red Bulls. Can their strategy be executed? Please share your opinions in the comments section below. We appreciate your interest and hope to see you in the upcoming video.